My husband works with wood. He does
Hmm.
custom furniture, sculpture, um, about anything.
Okay.
Anything you want, he can build. And he likes he does some commission work,
Hmm.
but I don't really like that because as an artist, and like deadlines.
Yeah.
And I'm the techier one, then he doesn't even know how to turn a computer on hardly. So the whole idea of brick and mortar versus doing something like this. First of all, do is this a suitable match for us?
Yeah. Yeah. It.
We're talking more about photography and art, and
Mhm.
like can't not like pieces.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's an epic question. I know exactly how to answer it. I'm gonna Kelly, your connection's a little weak, so what I just did was kill your camera because normally what that does is it
okay,
gives me cleaner audio.
I live off grid, so almost so I'm good to have any reception at all.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I gotcha. Yeah, so it's a great question, and like here's the crazy thing that we've learned sort of over the years. Like, we launched as a platform primarily for folks that are selling wall art, right? So photographers,
right.
artists, of that's right. Since then, I routinely, and this has happened over like the last couple of years, I'm routinely getting emails from sculptors of every variety, jewelers, quilters,
Mhm.
textile
Mhm.
artists, digital artists of every stripe imaginable, jewelers, crafters of every kind imaginable, and by the way, even musicians, writers, poets, book authors, and
Okay.
what you realize is that like all creatives are sort of under the same umbrella, and the biggest struggle is
Right.
like you have this
Right.
incredible creation, how are you going to get people's attention with it? That's number one. Number two, despite the fact that our website is custom built to sell art, it's also an e-commerce website like any other e-commerce website. And so I've got customers that are selling books and selling classes, and selling
Right.
music and selling all sorts of things,
Right.
right? So
That's what he's interested in, classes as well.
mhm,
And I'm wondering, is this going to be? I know building the website is huge
mhm,
because it would take me forever. I could do it, but it would take me forever, and it wouldn't be perfect
yeah,
by any stretch. Being the first go around, and but keeping up with it, I'm sure I could do. But as far as like you guys being a business consultant for us, you're talking about community, and I mean, is that like networking and um, uh, j- I don't know what I'm trying to. You know what I'm trying to
yes,
say.
you need
Building the
you need on
business
yeah, you need
from
ongoing
the middle
support.
of nowhere.
Yeah, you need ongoing support in every capacity imaginable. 100%.
Right.
Yeah. Um, and so yes, in that capacity, all of the above is great. Like, if he's really good at what he does and he has the courage of his convictions, and he's not going to change everything, like
Right.
that's the beauty of saying, okay, hey, we're all in on this. We are going to build this business one way or the other. We think down the line a retail store might work, a retail gallery might work, which is awesome, but they can always be, having the retail store and then having the digital operation are two trains on two different tracks, and you want to have both of them
Hmm.
going no matter what.
Well, I'm
Building the
thinking
email list.
now. I mean, we are paying. We're actually paying rent on a space that we have yet to move into,
Mm.
um, because there are issues with the roof and that kind of thing. But we live in the middle of Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
and and I literally live on a pecan orchard. And
Awesome.
he is locally like he's an icon,
Mm-hmm.
but only. I mean, we go to Savannah, people know him. We can go to Augusta, people know him. People in South Carolina, because that's where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
My peeps know him,
Mm-hmm.
but I want him out there,
Yeah.
like out there, out there. Because and I want him to do his own work, not commission work. Like, not, hey, can you build me this bed? This is how I want it, or can you build me this dining room table? I want him to be able to, because he's so creative, and he just builds. He'll see a piece of wood and he knows what it looks like to him. He sees something in it and he builds something,
Love
and
it.
it's awesome. Whether it's a sculpture or a chair or a table or whatever, um, and everything's unique. That's my vision for him.
Yeah.
Not to be a cookie cutter. Oh, he makes great dining room tables. He makes great, you know, whatever
Yeah. Yeah.
caskets. He built my grandmother's casket, and it was beautiful. Um, and he's built a few more, and they, $10,000-$15,000 caskets.
Yeah.
But I don't see him doing just caskets. It's kind of,
Yeah,
morbid.
what I would do, we can certainly help you with all the above, Kelly. What I would do is get a demo, and if you want, I can have somebody reach out to you and just
Okay.
look at all the websites, look at the plans, explain to them on the phone, like
Okay. Okay.
show me what the sites look like when you're not selling just
Right.
wall art, when you're selling individual one-off items, you know,
Okay.
and what it looks
Uh,
like. But we can help you for
okay.
sure.
All right. I'm sorry to monopolize the
No,
whole
no, no, not at
conversation,
all, not at all. That's what it's for.
but
And by the way,
thank you.
that
Thank you for your
was a
time.
really good sales pitch too. I'm like, I kind of want to see this work now. You had me going.
It's awesome. It really
Yeah,
is. It's
yeah,
great. It's great stuff. I want to see him. I want to see him in, Gardening Guns magazine, Better Homes and Gardens. I want to see him in. I want to
absolutely.
see him in, Architectural Digest.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Kelly. Um, who else, guys? Questions? Can be anything about anything. Um, yeah. Can you please talk about copyrighted work? Camille's asking me. I would need some follow up on that, Camille. Like, are you asking? Do you retain the copyright, or are you talking about like you're working on copyrighted material? You kind of have to give me a follow up on that, and I can certainly speak to that. And I can unmute you if you want, Camille, and you can ask directly if that's easier. But yes, well, I mean, I might as well answer. Like, yes, with us, the artist retains ownership of absolutely everything. We don't own anything. You know, all of the art is the intellectual property of the artist or the photographer, the creative, or however you want to phrase it. Um, so that's what I would say on that. But who else, guys? Questions can be anything about anything. Ask about sure what buying the intellectual property. I say. Sure what buying the intellectual. Yeah, Camille, you'd have to give me more detail than that too. I mean, if you're going to buy the intellectual property on something, that's awesome. I mean, you can own it, you can sell it, right? And you know, you would have the ability to do that. So we don't get in the way of that in the slightest. We don't do the you know the legal side of things. Um, while you guys are contemplating questions for you podcast listeners out there, we have a great podcast. It's called the Art Marketing Podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify. It's on anywhere you get podcasts. So if you listen to podcasts, it's got all the latest and greatest, you know, hardcore marketing techniques and tactics. We do artist stories, which are really, really good. Interview a bunch of different customers and generally just keep you motivated, inspired, and encouraged to keep, you know, fulfilling the creative dream. So encourage you guys to check that out for anyone that does listen to podcasts. And, you know, that there it is. It's that sort of orange headphone logo. Okay, Patricia, you're up next. And you'll need to unmute. Or it's Patrizia, I should say.
I think can you hear me now?
Yeah, I sure can.
Oh, okay. I was on one of these Zoom meetings about a month ago, I guess,
Very cool.
and I had to leave early, and I didn't get to ask you. I'm the one who I live in Hawaii. I live on Maui, and I in Lahaina. I lost everything in the fire.
Yeah, I remember you.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah.
Anyway, you had said something that you might be able to help me with getting a lower rate on the fees for joining, and I wondered how we could proceed with that.
I'm going to screenshot your name right now, and I'm going to reach out to my team and tell them to contact you. We already have your email address.
Oh, okay. That would be so great because I lost everything. I'm starting all over. It's crazy. Yeah, I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, and how's it going? Are things getting a little bit better day by day? I hope.
Well, it's just overwhelming. I mean, it's been a job for the last 8 months with just paperwork. You know, FEMA trying to get them pay for housing, and you have to put paperwork in over and over and over again, and just everything. You know, with the whole thing, insurance, now rebuilding, permits. It's just insane. So I'm trying. I have a lot of work that I want to get out there to start selling. And I did get an easel, so I want to start painting soon, but I'm trying to get the business stuff, you know, aside. But I know I have a lot of images of Lahaina that I'm the photographer, I'm a painter, I do photo montage. I've shown at the Ritz-Carlton, and I've done a lot of commission work, and I was in some galleries on Front Street years ago. But I do have images of some of the important places, beautiful photo montages of beautiful places in Lahaina. and in the neighborhood where I live, that's kind of famous. It's called Puamana.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really want to get all this stuff out there. And I know it's just too hard for me to, do the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
That's
I really,
it's the
yeah.
nonstop struggle. It's like what I was talking about in the video in between. It's like something's got to give. You guys need as much time to just create as possible. And with all the other jobs, it's just it's like the number one thing that prevents artists and photographers from making the forward progress. It's just so many hats.
Right. Yeah. And then I got all these other hacks right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's normal circumstances, let alone losing everything in the fire. So, okay. I'll have somebody reach out to you. I just threw it into my team channel, so somebody will get it and email you.
Oh, okay. I really appreciate that so much. And I'm enjoying watching these Zoom meetings. I know I'm going to be happy to be part of this.
Awesome. I really appreciate you saying that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrizia. All right. Who else, guys? Questions, comments, concerns? Can be anything about anything. You can raise your hand at the bottom of your Zoom window, by the way. There's a button that lets me know you have a question, which is raise hand, I think is what it said. You can see I just did it on mine. Or you could throw a question in the chat or raise your hand if your camera's on, and I'll see that too. But it can be anything about anything we do. I got you, Melissa. Hold on. All right, hold on. I'm gonna unmute you right now.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I put it in the comment section, but it was just like, how do I set up a conversation?
Yeah.
To see about the different packages.
Yes. I'm writing your name down too. Hold on. I'm like one of those people that if I don't do it right now, I'm going to say I'm going to do it and then not do it. What's your last name, Melissa?
Moore.
Moore.
Correct.
Okay. Done. I will make sure you get followed up with, I just put that in the team channel too, so you're going to be good.
Okay. And I guess my next question I was typing up, but I'll just ask it.
Yeah.
If you do multitudes of different things, such as I'm a portrait artist, but I also do landscapes, and then I also am a jeweler. And can you have different pages for different things, or do you just
1,000%? And I want to encourage you on the path that you're on, because I believe that the conventional wisdom out there that I certainly would have believed earlier in my career. And again, 10 years doing this, 14,000 customers. So I've seen a lot now. The conventional wisdom out there is that you have to have a niche. Like, Melissa, pick one. Pick a lane, Melissa. Like you do your jewelry or pick a niche, your landscapes, and go all in on that. But what I've come to learn over the course of the years, that the artist is just as important as the art. The artist is the brand. And I have people that are selling such a mixed bag of things, and anything that they create works. And it can be so disparate, it's unbelievable, right? Like from completely different worlds. And so don't think just because you like to dance in those different venues that matters in the slightest. What happens is that you have all those things and you're getting the word out, but you're not really getting the word out. You sign up with us. We teach you to get the word out. Next thing you know, you've had a whole lot more eyeballs on the products. And one of two things is usually happening. Either Pareto's law emerges. Pareto's law is what we call the 80-20 law, which would mean 80% of your revenue is coming from 20% of your products. So if that happens in a year, we might have to have like a sit down and come to Jesus and say, Melissa, your audience is telling you go all in on the jewelry, right? Or go in all in the port. But the opposite might happen too, where you're just selling a mixed bag of everything. In which case it's keep calm and carry on, keep getting the word out.
So I guess my next question is it's not actually a question. I guess it's just more, I worry that being full-time employed somewhere else in another job, it's so hard to figure out whether or not you can afford one to do when you're not all in at the moment with your art, which I'm an artist, but it's usually just commission work or small shows, because I just don't have the full time to commit at the moment. And so then I'm wondering, okay, is this going to be worth my money when I can't put all my eggs in the basket? So I'm a full-time teacher. I teach high school, so art, photography. And so it's a little scary to, put your, dive in instead of just putting your toe in.
Oh, for sure.
So I guess another question, when I guess that whenever I set this time to talk with someone, would be time to ask these questions. But I guess, is there a certain amount of time, like you can kind of like see how well this works, or do you have to like sign up for a year? Um,
Yeah, it's one of those things where I've seen like there's no magical formula that works for everyone. Everyone's path is completely different, and
right,
it's important, one, to say that, and then two, to not compare yourself to others, right? Because
right,
there's no rhyme or reason on how long it'll take. Some people pay the entire investment off in the first couple of months. Some people, it could take 2 or 3 months, or 2 or 3 years, or 5 years, and everyone's got different things in going for them, different things in terms of niche, where they are, their customer base, how savvy they are marketing, all these various different variables. And the only thing that you can decide is like, am I going to do this no matter what? Then it becomes a notion of lost time, right?
mhm,
There's never a perfect time to launch, I guess, is what the way that I'm saying, right? Like, you're
right,
either making forward progress and it's going somewhere, or you're not. And I think if you can focus on saying, this is happening no matter what, I'm going to make forward progress no matter what, that's what I'm doing, then that's the mental commitment that you need to make. But I go back to what I said in like the presentation, that the number one thing that determines success is just a consistency. Because
mhm,
what happens time and time and time and time again is that um, you get going for a little while, things get hard, life happens, however that is, you quit, matter of time goes by, and then you're like, I want to do this again, right? And so that's what I would say. Like, really, it really is the consistency in the whole thing.
right. Well, I think one good thing about it is I don't have time to market myself. So this
Yeah,
is something that's very interested to me, because I want to do the art part, but I don't want to do everything else. I have a friend that does everything,
yeah,
and that's her job, and she doesn't do anything else, which is great,
yeah,
but that doesn't work for me. So if this could work out, it would be awesome.
yes. And it's not just about like, inevitably as artists, you're still going to have to do some of the work, right? And that's just how it goes. And that's okay. Knowing that you have to get as much off your plate as possible is also very, very important, right? So, it's one of the things that we work at all week with the community portion of what we offer is like, how can we take more off your plate? How can we take more off your plate? How can we take more off your plate? But if you don't have that, you end up having to search to how to do these things yourself. And then, in addition to the time that it takes reading the blog posts, searching for the podcast, watching YouTube videos, signing up for this, signing up for that, you end up wasting a ton of time with doing just that before you actually get to the work that makes the difference, you know?
Mm,
So
right.
yeah, it's going to be ultimately like a decision you'll have to make, right? And you'll have to think it through, but I would definitely get a demo. I would definitely see what the costs are, and you can at least understand what your options are with us, because there's a bunch of different plans and packages, and you can go up or down at any point in time. But
Okay.
for me, Melissa, independent of me working at this company, if you can just figure out how to make the work consistent, where you're doing a little bit to promote yourself, you're creating the mail, you're going to win. You're going to win.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank you. All right. I got a question from Facebook, and Karen, if you're still listening, I saw your question. I'm going to have Juan email you. I got a question on Facebook that says, elaborate a little on artist as a brand. Yeah, I don't think it gets talked about enough, right? And it's this notion that, art sales are 50-50. They're 50% the quality of the art, and they're 50% who is the artist, what makes them tick, what's their story, what do I have in common with them, what can I get bonded to them, like what do they do, right? Like, in Melissa's case, it was like, you're a teacher. It's like, oh, you're a teacher? I now know that data point. My mom was a teacher. Next thing you know, we're having a conversation about teaching. Next thing you know, she's telling me about her students, right? It's like, oftentimes artists and photographers, creatives, the way I like to say it is like, the photographers love hiding behind the lens. The artists love hiding behind the canvas, right? So there's nothing that I can learn about you from coming to your social media sites other than here's art, here's art, here's art, here's art, here's art, right? And I think that's really hard, because you're not putting yourself out there. You're not giving us other human beings that like to purchase things from people that we like and have things in common with. You're not giving yourself enough of that out there. And so that's sort of the Andy, the brand portion of the question. So that's what I would say. And Kathy, you have a question lining up images on each shop. Definitely have tech support help you on that, and that would be what I do. And thank you, Lady Ray. But who else, guys, in here? Comments, questions? Can be of any sort whatsoever. Oh yeah, Lana's. What is the cost of the different packages? How does one choose one? Or yeah, Lana. Sorry, it's hard to see these names sometimes. So we have like a pretty like the reason that we do the demo process is because we have like a crazy amount of options. There's like all sorts of things, right? Like we have different website solutions. We have one membership community, and so you can go in there and see what the plans and the packages all look like and decide if it's for you. So that's the idea, and it's getting a demo. But there's buttons everywhere, Lana, all over our website. Or if you want me to have somebody reach out to you, I can do that too, like I've done for the others. So then you have to fill anything out, which is kind of annoying, I know. Okay. And Camille, what do you want me to do? You want me to email you? I manage. Contact me via Camille San Juan at Gmail. You'll have to throw it at the chat. Okay. Okay. What else, guys? Any other finals? I should mention I recorded this thing. I will send you guys a copy of it after the fact, or a replay after the fact, and send you some of my other really, really good articles that we have. We've got a really good article on pricing that's amazing. I've got that ultimate guide to running fairs and shows if you're going to do those things in person. Incredible. We also do a ton of live broadcasts too, all the time. They're on Facebook, they're on YouTube, they're on Instagram. So if ever you see one of those and it's live, you can come right on and ask any questions that you have, and we'd be happy to answer them for you. Yeah, Lana, I think our cheapest one is, and don't hold me to it directly, but I think it's like, to get started is like $1,500 and I think $69 or $79 a month. It's somewhere in that range. So that's sort of where we start. But again, you can get in a website anywhere, right? It's what are you going to do after the website's up? And that's why we have the membership that we do. It's, there's so much in there. There's a calendar that tells you what to do 365 days a year, that has email copy. We tell you all the art selling holidays, the biggest art selling holidays, right? Like, what months do you need to launch the sale? What do you need to start the sale? Here's the email copy. What social networks to market on? We have 9 Zoom sessions like this, like I said, internally each week that you can jump into, and get your marketing questions answered, that you can jump in to get tech support, that you can jump into and just listen and learn from other peers that you have. So you're really, the whole thing is just set up to support you on your art journey for the rest of your art journey. So that's what I would say. And no, Aaron, the store website is not the only avenue for sales online. There's others. I just don't think any of them usually work out as well as like the website direct. And I'll unmute you, Aaron, just if you have a follow up on that. Like, there's a bunch of different marketplaces out there that you can put your art on that people try, right? There's, Etsy and Fine Art America and Art.com and all of these. In my experience, for the majority of artists I've ever talked to, like anytime you're on one of those marketplace sites, or Redbubbles, I think is another one, you're on there with so many other artists that it's very hard to get noticed. It's very hard to get any attention. And so it usually doesn't equate to anything resembling a decent living. Now, I have had people on this Zoom that have told me they're doing well on Etsy, but it's certainly the minority. But we're very much a business that says, like, we don't care how you make it. It's our job just to help you, give you as much support as you can to make it, and the revenue sources to us don't matter. Sell direct on gallery, do a little bit online, great. Own your own gallery, fantastic. In a co-op gallery, fantastic. Selling in marketplaces, awesome. Selling direct, amazing. For us, though, that none of those things should be zero sum, right? No matter what you do, no matter what other revenue channel you have working on, you have working for you, the most important thing is that you're building something where you have control and you own everything. You own all the contacts, you own all the email addresses, you know who these people are, you can message them, you can market them, you can talk to them, right? So that's sort of our way of approaching it, way of going about it. So that's what I would say. Yeah. All right. Well, if that's it, guys, we'll leave it there. If there's any, I think someone else threw a final one. Okay. So yeah, thanks, Freddie. Appreciate you saying that. Can you please, or email, put on the chat several different galleries that use your service, sure. What is the difference of features and creation of websites? You mentioned being able to use different printing places. Can you email these, please? How is that integration with the site you build? How do you partner with artists? Okay, I might as well start at the top. Yeah, the number one, the galleries. That'll take me longer than one. But we have quite a few that both actual individual art galleries and then also to individual customers that own art galleries that are doing that. What are the differences in features? Your standard issue bells and whistles, Freddie. I'll unmute you because I can see you turn your camera on. Live preview with AR. It's like high level bells and whistles essentially. But again, this is why we do the demo process, because I want you to see everything. In terms of the printing, yeah, great question. So Bay Photo on the West Coast, Graphic Dimension on the East Coast. Graphic Dimension's a similar size printer to Bay Photo. Everyone usually knows Bay Photo because it's a much bigger brand. And then our merch partner is this company called Guten. And you basically pick which ones you want to work with. It's a one-click integration, and they can take care of it for you. If you want to use your own, you can use your own too. We don't mind how anyone does it. So those are the opportunities. And then how do you partner with artists? What do you mean about that one, Freddie?
Or Patrick, can I just ask you another question
Yeah,
about
that? Please.
That third question, are those the only sites that you're able to work with, the ones that you mentioned? And if so, do you mind emailing me those, so I can look those up?
Yeah. The only one you'll find information. Well, send me an email and with the follow-up questions, will you? Because then otherwise it's just going to get lost. But yeah, you can use whoever you want, but they're the only two that we integrate with digitally, because it is so insanely complicated to do that. It's like all the different sizes, all the different media types, all that happening automatically. So what happens is that in the event that we have a customer that prints on their own, which some do, or they want to use their local printer rather than them, the order comes in and they just automatically forward the order directly to the print shop. Or they automatically just use the order as like, okay, here's what I got to go make, and then go print it themselves, right? So you can work. You can work with anyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it goes. So it doesn't actually. How does that work on the back end with you? So it just goes.
Let's say you had like 4 prints that you wanted us to fulfill. That would be all automatic fulfillment. You wouldn't have to do anything. Let's say you had 4 prints that you wanted to use with a guy down the road. You would just set up an email routing rule, and he would get every order when it came in. And then he would know he's got to go print it, right? And then you would just have to settle up the bill with him later. Would be how you would do it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the last question about partnering. Do you guys partner with artists at all?
Well, I mean, we're pretty doggone close to our customer base, so we'd like to think that we're partnered with all of them, right? Do everything that we can in every capacity. But what did you mean specifically?
What did I mean specifically? Well, how did I mean it? With everybody that I'm doing business with, I partner, meaning whether and I'm being offered to be able to do social media in a way that they'll take a percentage of the cut of whatever it is that I do.
I see. Yeah.
So
yeah.
We
don't do that.
Down.
We don't do that. It might be something we explore in the future, but sort of the feeling there is like you can't control what the other party is going to do. Right? Like some might do a ton of work, some might do no work whatsoever.
I get it.
Yeah. And so it's just, it's too hard. Yeah. It's too hard. It would be awesome if we could,
right.
We've sort of contemplated a couple of times too in the past, like, we fancy ourselves to be pretty quality marketers and pretty good at what we do. So could we create a marketplace that's better than the ones that are out there? Right. And maybe down the line, that's an idea, that's a dream. But I think ultimately, one of the huge struggles is like you're emerging, you're coming up, and you're like, God, I wish there was someone that could just take all this off my hands, and then we'll do the 50-50 split. And the reality is, those folks only come to you when you've made enough noise and you've made enough money that you're like, I don't even need them, right? It's like chicken and egg scenario. It's the hard thing of hard things, I guess is another way to say it. Yeah.
My last question is, am I able to have a conversation with you? Can I do that after this meeting, or can we set something up?
I don't usually do one-on-one calls because there's not enough hours in the day. So your best shot at it is literally right now or anytime I'm live. on any of the socials, but you probably want to have it behind closed doors, obviously, like not not in between. So
Sure.
yeah,
I mean, they're just very specific questions that I don't want to bore other people with, you know.
yeah, yeah. We'll go.
But, all right. Well, did anybody else have any other questions or anything else you wanted to mention?
There's no other hands up, so go. You
Okay.
you would be amazed. You think like the problems are super unique to you, and maybe they are, but most cases, like, let me put it this way, like I have these sessions internally, and like sometimes there'll be like 300 or 400 people in the session, and only 15 ask questions. It's because it's nice to be able to learn from people that are in the same industry as you. Like there's not anywhere to go where you can really get that, So don't worry about it. Don't stress it. And I see your hands up, Camille. I'll get you next. Go ahead. Ask one of them, Freddie.
I'd rather go with Camille and I'll come back. Really.
Okay.
These are specific, boring.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. No worries. Go ahead, Camille. You'll need to unmute Camille. Mic icon button. It's there somewhere.
Hello?
Yep, I gotcha.
Hello?
Gotcha.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I had a question. Majority of my artwork were through galleries, and I'm San Francisco based.
Okay.
So when you meant capacity to someone you spoke to, what made that mean? Is that based from network, e-commerce, or the storytelling that she was mentioning? What does capacity mean?
I'm not totally sure what capacity. Like what was the context in which I said that? Capacity?
I think she was trying to reach out to you about how to expand her horizons on her pieces and the art of selling, and I was just a little confused.
Yeah, got it. So okay, the woodworking one, and I think what we were talking about. So let me nuance it to you. So are you only selling in the galleries and not anywhere else?
That was when I before I turned 18. I worked with Michelle Gintu Petty. She now is in New York.
Okay.
So her majority of her artwork was based on pop culture and the sentimentalism behind the surrealism that she had was through paper mache. She's actually a relative of mine, and she is amazing.
Awesome.
Excuse me.
Yep. So what I would say just about the galleries more broadly, and this is important, like I just don't like artists or photographers having all of their eggs in one basket, i.e. the gallery basket, because when you don't know who's purchasing your work, then you don't maintain the ability to market to that person in the future, and you don't maintain the ability to own a collector, right? And collectors are people that come back and buy again and again and again and again. So if you're just in galleries, you're not going to have any idea, who those people are. And so that represents like a little bit of a dangerous situation, right? Like it was super dangerous during COVID because COVID hit, all those galleries closed up, and then all these artists were coming onto these calls and they're like, what can I do? I don't have an email list.
Is happening, I believe so, because the presidency is always changing its political agenda.
Yeah, that's
So differentiates on the company policies
for sure
every month.
For sure. Yeah, it's a crazy world that we live in. It's crazy town out there. For sure. Okay, what else did you have in terms of questions? You wanted someone to reach out to you, yeah? Camille? Oh, okay, Camille muted. All right. Freddie, I'm coming back to you. Ask your first one, Freddie, and we'll see how we go.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, specific. So, well, let me ask this: what is what's the highest print that are being sold by your artists?
You didn't say the highest dollar?
Yeah, highest dollar print.
Yeah, it's a good question. I imagine we have some folks, not many, that are in the limited editions in six figures.
Okay, and and what about unlimited editions? What do they go for?
Yeah,
and are most these are such specific. I'm sorry.
No. These are great questions. You'd be surprised everyone has them. I think I know where your mind's at asking the question, right? And you can certainly charge whatever the heck you want. You can go up to crazy town levels, right? But you have to have the demand to support that, and that's really, really hard, and most people don't. Like, very, very hard, very, very rare, right? When it comes to pricing, there's no magical formula. Everyone gets so hung up on the pricing and stressed out about the pricing and this and that and the other. The reality is that the hardest thing for you guys to do is get the word out and get attention. At a macro blanket statement, that's correct. So knowing that, when you go and do that work, you want to get the highest ROI from those efforts. Okay, that's return on investment from those efforts. In order for that to happen, it's less about what your prices are and more, do you have the range of pricing? Because the whole ball game is like, the revenue potential of your business is going to be based on the number of new customers that you can acquire per year. And the reason the revenue potential of your business is going to be based on the number of new customers that you acquire per year, because of the collector phenomenon and because of the fact that the easiest customer to get is the one that you already have. It's easier to get somebody to come back and purchase again than it is to get somebody to come and purchase the first time. Those are sort of baseline rules, right? Like, you know, the more customers you're acquiring in a year, you know, the more at the end of the year you have to market to, the more you have next year to market to, the more you have the year after that. And so if it's a numbers game, you're going to likely win. Those are sort of the business fundamentals, if you like. But at the same time, you know, the older we go, like, you know, there's this notion of whales and minnows, right? Like, you know, you could sell thousands of prints starting at $300 to $500 to $1,200, or you could sell one original for $250,000 and you probably won, right? So, you know, don't think there's any one way to go about it. But broadly speaking, I believe in having prices from 0 to 100 non-wall art in there, okay? Prices from 100 to 1,000, and prices 1,000 plus, okay? When you have that range, then you're sort of set up not just to acquire the folks that have money, okay, but also to acquire the folks that are maybe not interested in a piece of wall art right now, but they just saw your message. So, you know, maybe they don't want to make a huge original commitment right now, but they want a small piece for the bathroom, right? So if your stuff started at $5,500, let's just say, or your stuff started at $50,000, your marketing message would reach a bunch of people, but you don't have anything for them to buy. And so the math say they're out. If you had are you an artist or a photographer? Both. So let's say you had a photo book, right, in your store for like $79. I see you on social media and I'm like, damn, this guy's talented. This is amazing. And then you go, I really, really like that. I'm not in the market for wall art. I'm going to buy the photo book. The photo book sits on my coffee table for the next 2 years. And I'm just constantly looking at your images. And I'm like, damn, now I'm going to buy an original. Do you know who they go to? They go to you, right? If you didn't have that photo book, I was gone. I saw you. I liked it. Maybe I followed you on Instagram, but the math say I'm going to go watch cat videos. So I want you to have that range of pricing so that you can capture, you know, impulse buys, low-end buys, mid-range buys, high-end buys, and really high-end buys. So that's like sort of the holistic view that we like to take on pricing.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Patrick. That's it makes me think of Melinda Gates' TED Talk on Coca-Cola. If you haven't seen that, it's very similar to that.
I got to go see that. I didn't know she did one. I didn't know she did one, which is, I mean, obviously you hear about Bill all the time. I know she's crazy. I know she's crazy successful too.
It's great. It's like, it's over 10 years old, but it's really great.
Yeah.
It encapsulates what you're saying. I'm really stuck in this place where, again, sorry guys, if you guys have a question, please jump in.
Don't worry.
Okay. So, I've got a gallerist who, I do abstract art, I do pop art, I do photography, I do sculpture, and video stuff as well.
Okay.
And my gallerist is like, what is all this other bullshit you're doing? You know, like you should just stick with your abstract stuff. Like the rest is crap. That's not art. That's, you know, like he just shits on it. Right? Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm cursing for
that's okay.
That's for everybody. Meanwhile, during the pandemic, I got my pieces, my pop art into museums, like a couple museums.
Awesome.
And so, thank you. So that worked. My pop art, first time I did street art, it got put in the New York Times.
Wow.
So like that was one of the top 5 read articles that year. he thinks it's crap. He doesn't want me messing with it. He thinks it's going to cheapen my brand. So this is, I know you're a marketing expert. There's a marketing question. Really.
Yeah, I understand. I have empathy for where he's coming from, right? Because you're in his shop and he knows what sells well in his shop and he wants you just focused on that because that's what works for him. So I get where he's coming from. I don't believe that doing the different artistic styles cheapens anyone's brand. I just don't. I think at the end of the day, you being the creative and you being you is what's going to draw a wide audience to you, right? And it's, again, this notion of 50-50. And ultimately, it's a decision for you, okay, that other stuff cheapening your brand. Either you decide it is or you decide it's not. How I would decide it is am I driving attention on this stuff? Which everything that you just told me, if you're getting into museums and you're getting in, do you know how many artists want to get into the New York Times? How the hell did you pull that off? Not with crafty work, I imagine.
That was luck.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I not with crafty work, I imagine. So what I would say is that, no one ever talks about the fact that like art is absolutely a game of archery. It's the number of arrows that you fire at the target. And let me tell you, sometimes you miss, and sometimes you send one into the neighbor's yard, and sometimes it sticks in the grass, but sometimes you hit the target, right? And that's okay. That's part of the process. Like the things they don't ever tell you in history. Pablo Picasso, when he died, had 47,000 unsold works in his inventory. 47,000. How many times do you think he missed the target? Did it bother him? Did it cheapen his brand? Did it hurt his legacy? Did he sell any less? At the tail end of his career? No, none of the above. So I think you can do that stuff, but you have to. If you want to make a living from your art, you have to attempt to sell it too and see what happens, right? So you have to keep that in mind.
Yeah. So one of the new. Thank you for all that. First of all, that all that made complete sense to me. So and I just want to bounce this off you. A couple of things. One, are you familiar with Restoration Hardware, General Public?
Of course.
Are you familiar with their stuff? Okay, so I got accepted to be one of their artists. Right now, they're looking to put my stuff into Restoration Hardware.
Okay.
And those sell for those unlimited prints sell for $5,000.
Yeah.
Like unlimited. It's insane.
That's insane. Yeah.
Like
everything they have is so expensive. Dude, my wife goes to the clearance center up here to try and get furniture every once in a while. They have one in Long Beach where I live anyway.
Right. So and they're in California, General Public. Anyhow, point is I'm happen to be in Utah right now. Point is I'm grateful for that insanity, by the way. It's not like I'm bitter about it. I'm happy about it. It's just part of me is going, whether or not it's just too much, it's overkill. Like I've seen different artists.
I think your analysis paralysis.
I do that, I do this, I do
your analysis paralysis, and you're overthinking it 100%. If I was your business partner / manager, I'd be like, Freddie, you create what you want to create, what you feel like speaks to you, based on what you're telling me where you're getting into. You're clearly good at what you do. Honestly. Like people are really responding to it. There are not a lot of artists that are in Restoration Hardware. How you pulled that off, you're doing something right. So I think you should create what you want to create. I don't think anyone's going to care. And I think you should try and sell it because that's how you find the next greatest thing. Right.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's not going to cheapen you. And let me tell you, if it does cheapen you, it's very easy to memory hole it. Okay. It's a reversible decision.
Memory hole it,
meaning pull it down from the internet and it's gone, No one knows.
Yeah. The reason why I asked about the gallery situation, creating a gallery, would be to just throw my art in different ways and also represent different artists that I respect and
which I love.
Curate that.
Which I love.
Yeah.
I don't like the gallery model in exclusivity because I run these webinars all the time. I talk to so many people and I'm routinely seeing people, and I don't know if you're on in the beginning, I said this, but I routinely talk to artists and photographers that are in every season of life, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and sometimes even 90s. And you look at that.
I caught that.
Yeah. Okay. But you look at that, right? And it's been such a profundity to me because this desire to keep selling the artwork never goes away. It never leaves you. And so
that's the Hotel California.
Yeah. But
metaphor.
Both. Yeah. But I look at that and I'm like, my goodness, the not knowing who's purchasing your work is like not putting money in the retirement account. You know,
Right.
like if you didn't do that when you were in your 20s and 30s and 40s, your 50s, 60s, and 70s are going to be way harder, right? And the money in the retirement account is the collectors, because
It's
art
the
has
80-20 you talked about.
yeah, I mean, art has this collector's phenomenon, and it's like if you're lucky enough to know who it is and have the relationship, they will go with you for the rest of your art creating life and just keep buying and buying and buying and buying. It doesn't stop, right? I love the line from Whale Guy Wyland. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Whale murals. He's one of the best-selling art. I think he is the best-selling artist in the United States, but it's because he has his own
Oh,
galleries.
I know that book. Yeah.
Yeah, great book, right? And you read in there where he's like, dude, he goes on and he likes his collector's social media posts. He sends them all a personalized Christmas card, sends them like personal emails, and he's like, a collector for me is someone that's already purchased an upwards of 7+ pieces from him, right? But they just keep coming back and then buying and buying and buying. So if you're just in the gallery and all of a sudden something changes or another freaking pandemic or whatever the hell happens, you realize all your eggs are in that basket. What are you going to do? And I don't like that for artists, knowing that you're going to be at this for the rest of your life, right? You want the optionality. Right. You want the optionality of having your own list and knowing who your own people are. So owning your own gallery where you got to keep all that information, I'm on board. Great idea, right? Fantastic idea. But also, risk. A brick and mortar spot, the HR component of who's going to be in there, who's going to do it, who's going to be doing the work and the whole thing. So you have to think that through.
Okay. And thank you. My other thought is just, I need to see the customization of how the websites are.
Yeah.
If you go to my website, it's super clean, and I don't know how easy it is to make it super clean, but not all my images are, but especially.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. And I totally appreciate what you're saying, and I love this. So I'm gonna go on a quick rant, and we'll finish with this. Okay.
Sure. Can I guess where I think you're gonna go?
Yeah, please. It'd be way more fun if you did.
I'm gonna screw this up, I'm sure, but I'm thinking that you guys have optimized what sells and what works, and you know how to make things a certain size, a certain look, a certain color, and that's what sells. And is that what am I close? Am I warm?
You're close. You're in the ballpark, but that's not what I was going to do. I was going to give you the why. I was going to give you the why. And so where it all goes wrong is, and I'm saying this through the lens of having looked at so many different of the websites that you guys create left to your own devices, take your pick here, there, everywhere, both you guys and photographers. You guys understand the canvas. You understand framing, composition, the rule of thirds, and you think any of that applies to what your website should look like. And nothing could be further than the truth. Okay. All we're attempting to do
I didn't know you were going to say that.
All we're attempting to do in the digital capacity is take the paradigm that works in the real world and get online looking as close to that as humanly possible, right? As close to that as humanly possible. And what do I mean by that? What is the paradigm of how art is shown and how art is purchased all over the world? It is either a museum or a gallery. And what do you notice about a museum or a gallery? Everyone the world over all looks the same. You ever notice that? Plain white walls, art on the walls, light on the art, that's it. Nothing else. No bells, no whistles, no distraction, no additional noise. Focus just on the art. So when you contemplate a website, what you want the website to be is utterly, totally, and completely minimalist. Nothing but the art up front and everything else fading to the background. And that's the way to think about it. And when I see artists and photographers do it on their own, they almost all the time are screwing things up and putting all this other stuff in there such that if anyone actually did see the art, it would be a bloody miracle, And so that's how I like describing it and thinking about it. But yes, you can customize things too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Now I want you to sign up just so I get to hear these questions all the time. So I'm actually really enjoying them. They're not the norm, which is kind of fun.
Well, I mean, I've heard a couple of your things, and that's why specifically I wanted to talk to you, because you're a marketing genius. I mean, like,
I wouldn't call myself a marketing genius.
Well,
I've been at it for a long time.
You're smart as shit. Like you really know. You captured my attention. I'm always like, nah.
Yeah.
And candidly, my thought, that's the reason why I was looking at the numbers, is because I was doing clothes. Like there's a shirt, for example, like I do cut and sew.
Yeah.
And these are like, you know, like they're real specific, but the rates that I was going for, if I went with you guys, they would be, I'd be spending less for something that the quality would be 10 times better. It wouldn't be
Oh,
Gideon or
you're talking about the merch, yeah, yeah. I mean, like,
yeah,
look,
that particular thing. You know?
the reality on merch is like, you know, print on demand is the greatest thing that's ever happened. Okay, and I owned a clothing company for a number of years. I know the difference between a high end print and a low end print, right? And like a lot of these DTG direct to garment printers do not have what a traditional ink and oven screen print looks like, especially after 20 or 30 washes. But you have to take the good with the bad, like not having to have inventory. Okay, no minimums. One order is fine. 500 orders is fine. That's just a golf club in the bag, right? And it's an awesome golf club in the bag, but it doesn't mean you have to use it all the time, right? Like if you've got higher end cut and sew, of course you're going to want to take that in house because you're going to want to make a more premium product, and that's totally okay, right? So you kind of just have to take the good with the bad, you know, when it comes to POD. That's just how I look at it. But on the art print side, it's not an issue. On the merch side, it's definitely an issue, right? Like because there's so many. There's, you know, you have this vision for how awesome you want your product to be, and in a POD modality, that's usually not as high quality a product as you can contemplate, right? But again, merch for me, and it took me a while for like my mind to come around to it, is the merch is just a way to acquire customers such that you have something that's an impulse buy. Like, you know, if you had that book or if you had that shirt and I see your stuff ready and I love it, it's like, dude, I don't have to measure anything on my wall. I don't have to talk to my wife. Right? I don't need to like try and Photoshop it in there or use it like one of our fancy web features. Like, I like this guy's creativity. I want to buy something, right? And you acquired a customer. And I know if I can get all of my customers acquiring more and more and more and more new customers, that their business is going to grow. So I keep hammering that. And then the other thing I say, you know, is that I spent my life advertising in digital capacities and doing organic social media and doing everything a digital marketer does, right? But I can only reach you. I can only reach you when you're on those apps, when you're reading your email, when you're on your phone, or when you're on your computer. I don't get access to any of the rest of Freddie's life. I want access to the rest of Freddie's life. I want access to all the rest of my customers' life. So the physical goods are what gets me in there, right? Like do you know how much it would cost me to have a Facebook or an Instagram ad reach you 365 days versus if I get a calendar on your wall, or if I get a throw pillow on your couch, or if I get the Holy Grail, the cell phone case that most human beings pick up 125 times a day, by the way. That's my new favorite piece of merch. Go to your screen time report and see how many times you pick up your phone each day. See how many times you pick up your phone each day. For people our age, and I'm guesstimating you and I are the same age, close to it, it's 110 times per day, average, okay? For millennials, it's like 210, according to the stats. And you're telling me that you could start having your art on the back of a cell phone case being picked up 225 times a day? What if you get the digital image, wallpaper, and the cell phone case in someone's hand? I don't know anyone that has their art looked at 225 times a day. It's insane to me, right? So I love those products as a result of that. It sounds like you're there. I mean, you're doing cut and sew. That's another perfect example, right? That's like, I'm in your life in a time when I can't get you on the computer and I can't get you on the phone.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I know I have a ton more questions, man. I feel
that's
like
all
I've
good.
monopolized a lot of time.
No. This is all good. I love it. But you do have me out of steam for today because my wife's yelling at me. So
yeah, right on.
Yeah, come back to another one, or you should sign up. You and I are going to be buddies. Just keep coming up with these questions that no one else asks because it's so refreshing and enjoyable.
Cool. Thank you, Patrick. Really, you're a wealth of information, and you're encouraging, and you don't bullshit. From my perspective, you're like, yo, you got to be doing the marketing too. Like having a website's just the beginning of the game.
It's just the beginning. It's hard though. I certainly get plenty of detractors as a result of it. I mean, I don't think it's any different for any other creator. I just don't think it's talked about. Like the ones that all make it are the ones that somehow either were like a unicorn and they were good at both things, or they were just immune to suffering and like, could just figure it out and do it. But you got to be the one to do it. And then what do you have on the other side of the house? All these magical formulas and these courses and the shortcuts and everything else. It's like, I took plenty of those in my own life. They don't get you anywhere, right? Like, it just, there's nothing easy about it. And like, I don't know. You got to be real about that,
Let me ask this quick question,
Yeah.
please. What would it look like if I had two different websites? Meaning, one would be a gallery, and another would be just abstract, just the stuff that my dude wants to work on.
Yeah.
My galleries.
Yeah. You could. I would. The first thing I would say is like websites are kind of like children. It's way harder to watch two than it is to watch one. Okay. Why bifurcate? But you could. You certainly could. And each situation's a little different. Like if you told me offline, like, Patrick, this gallery is providing me 80% of my income and has done so consistently for the last 18 years. And you're like, okay, Freddie, let's put the kid gloves on. We got to make them happy. Whatever the hell they want to keep them happy and allow us to do this thing over here, then let's do that, right? Because you don't want to upset that apple cart because it's like really hard to get a revenue source that's working. So yes, you could do that all day long.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you again. Yeah. Thank you all for being patient.
Yeah. Appreciate it. I'm telling you, people love hearing, everyone else's questions. It totally works out. Okay. Guys, I'm going to email all of you. Really appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Yeah, Melissa's already found your work. Melissa, how'd you find his work? Melissa's like an investigator. She like Googled Freddie already and found it. Now, yeah, you see, my wife does that too. Like I'm always amazed. Like, how'd you find him that quickly? Awesome. Appreciate all you guys. Appreciate you all listening. I'll send you an email with all the follow-up stuff. And Karen, I see you're in here. I had Juan email you, so check your email from Juan. But thanks everybody. Great rest of your week, and I'll be reaching out.